Hi, this is Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to short-circuit the fear of rejection. Now, rejection is something that every single person faces. If you're building your own business, you're going to get rejected constantly by potential markets, by going into the wrong situation and trying to sell your product, by selling it to the wrong people, by just building something that people just don't like. Right? Maybe you're watching this video because you've been rejected by a partner and you're scared of getting out there. Whatever it is, right? How do we short circuit this fear? Well, the first thing we've got to do, we've got to understand the reality. So what do I mean by understand the reality? Well, what is rejection? What does it even mean? And let me tell you a funny story about a friend and I years and years ago when we were in Greece. So we're in Greece and we are walking around and we're just meeting new people. Now, we were both single at the time, and I said to him, okay, I want you to go up to the girl over there and ask if she wants to join us for a drink. Okay. Now, I actually knew, okay, this is kind of naughty of me, I actually knew that she had a boyfriend. Okay, I had seen it earlier, but I knew that my friend was petrified. He was so scared to go up to someone. Right? So you're probably thinking, Ben, why would you go? Why would you possibly say that to someone if you know they're going to get rejected? Well, let's see what happened. So I told him to go over there. So he goes over there, he asks really politely, he's like, would you want to come and join us? She was like, no, I'm sorry. I've got my boyfriend here, I don't want to. So he comes back, right? And as he starts walking, he's got this massive grin on his face, like ear to ear. So I told him, I was like, well, what happened? And he goes, well, she didn't want to come over. And I was like, okay, how does it feel? He goes, it doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would. And I'm like, and that's the key. Because when you realize what it actually is, then you don't need to fear it so much. What's the worst that's going to happen? Someone says no. Okay, so that's it. But often we get ourselves in this sort of turmoil in our brain. Right? Because we have a survival instinct. Ultimately, we want to survive, we want to be accepted in our society, and we want to be able to be someone that is seen as a model person. So what we don't want to do is to get rejected by someone because we feel that not only they're rejecting our love, but they may be rejecting us as a person. And then we go on this long list of, oh, there must be something wrong with me. I must be doing the wrong thing. How could I possibly think that I could even go speak to that person? What was I thinking? And that is what happens. So instead we need to understand the reality. The reality is that a third of people will never like you. They're going to reject you no matter what. Whether you're owning your own business, whether you are setting up something, whether you're setting up a charity, whatever it is, a third of people aren't going to like you, no matter what you do. They will reject you. But that's okay. A third of people may reject you, and a third of people, they kind of like you, they may reject you, we don't really know. But the fact is there are so many people out there that it is impossible to please everyone. In fact, one of the most important things is to be able to repel in order to attract. Because if you're the same to everyone, then you don't stand out. There's nothing unique about you. But instead, if you can have that difference, if people speak about you badly, it means that people will also be speaking about you in a good way as well, because you're repelling as well as attracting. So the question is, how do we deal with rejection in all walks of life? Well, next is, now that we've understood the reality of whatever rejection is, I mean, ultimately, if someone says no, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. We'll get onto that in a little bit later on. But we need to redefine rejection. So what do I mean by this? Well, we need to redefine what rejection actually means to us. So when I started to do this, and I started with rejection years ago, because rejection is something that I really didn't want to feel. And as I was eliciting what has to happen in order for me to feel rejected, I realized something. I was like, I can get rejected so easily. Right? One of the ways that I felt rejected is if someone said no to me, if someone looked at me in a funny way, if someone didn't agree with my opinion. Right? Can you imagine having these sorts of rules for rejection? But often we've never thought about this. So what I'd like for you to do is to perhaps pause the video and write down answering this question. Well, what has to happen in order for you to feel rejected? And don't think about this. Just write down as much as you possibly can. Because if you think about it, you're going to go, that sounds stupid. But instead, I just want you to write it down immediately because you're getting it out of your unconscious. So write down whatever it is, whether it's if someone says no, whether it's if your product isn't accepted by people. Whatever it is, we just want to write down a list so we can understand how easy it is for you to feel rejected. So pause the video now and do that. Now, hopefully you've paused. If you haven't and you're still watching, well, I'd suggest that you do this because watching is going to help a little bit, but if you do it, then you're actually applying it to your life and it's going to make a much bigger change. So as I started to go through this, I realized that there are some very, very silly rules that I have for rejection, but rejection is something that I really, really didn't want to feel. So what could we do? Well, we could actually switch and make it much harder for us to feel rejected. So how do you do that? Well, we come up with a sentence like, I will only feel rejected when someone shouts no in my face, slaps me, and pushes me out the door, right? Instead, that's the only time I will feel constantly rejected, right? I will feel constant, overwhelming rejection if someone wants to slap me in the face, they're going to push me out the door, and they're going to say, you know, I hate you. That would be when I would feel rejected, right? So if I can think of a rule and I can say, okay, that is when I will feel rejected. I will only feel constantly rejected when that happens. Then, if someone says no to me, I don't really feel that rejected. I don't really feel rejected anymore. Because in order for me to feel really rejected, something else would have to happen. So what we're doing here is we're redefining the rules we have behind getting rejected. Now, most people have really easy rules for them to get rejected. And it's to keep them safe, ultimately. Because we want to please everyone, because if we please everyone and everyone likes us, then we'll feel safer. It's an unconscious need. However, that unconscious need has protected you so far, but it's not going to help you moving forward in order to be able to live the life that you want to live. And you may have had an incredible life so far, right? You may have built your business to have 25, 100 employees, whatever it is. Or maybe you're accelerating in your career. And you're very successful, but the fact is what's got you there isn't going to get you to where you want to be next. So we need to do something different in order to shift you in that direction, which is where doing these exercises and redefining what rejection means is going to really help you. Now, what I recommend is once you've redefined when you're going to feel constantly rejected, you will only ever feel constantly rejected when. After you've done that, then I want you to add one sentence on the end, which is instead of remembering that I'm not the center of the universe and that everyone is unique, right? And you add some sort of humor to it because it adds a bit more fun and it allows you to get out. Because the truth is, if you're feeling rejected, you're ultimately always focusing on yourself, right? So a fun one would be instead of remembering that I am not the center of the universe and everyone is unique and has an opinion and that's okay. So once you've put that into a sentence, I want you to read that every single morning for a week and see what that does with regards to you feeling rejection. Now the last thing, now that we've redefined what this rejection thing is, we now need to create more empowering meanings in your life. So what do I mean by more empowering meanings? Well, meaning is everything. Well, what I want you to become is a meaning-making machine where you take control of that machine. Because at the moment it's unconscious. We create meanings everywhere in our life. Someone says no to your product. That means that I'm not good enough. It means that the quality is not great. It means that the person doesn't like me. An investor says no to you. Well, that means that I am a failure. And we come up with all these meanings. It doesn't mean anything. No just means no. But the fact is if we keep going along this line of giving these meanings without taking control or being aware of the meaning that we give things, then we become in a certain state of feeling rejected because we go on this sort of downward spiral and make ourselves feel worse and worse and worse. I actually spoke to a client the other day and she was speaking about, no, this is like, no, I need to punish myself because I shouldn't have made that mistake. Can you believe that? Punish myself. Punish is such a mean word. She's like, no, I've got to punish myself to make sure it doesn't happen. And it's a defense mechanism so she gets better, but ultimately it doesn't serve her because she's in that state for such a long time. So instead of this rejection, right, perhaps we could reframe it to a learning opportunity, right? We could say, okay, well, where could be the gift in this rejection? Maybe it's not even a rejection, right? If someone asks you, do you need the toilet? And you say no, you're not rejecting them, you just don't want to go. You could just say, okay, this isn't the right time for them. How would that make you feel? Instead of, oh, I feel rejected, that person rejected me, you said, okay, it's not the right time for them right now. Or maybe it's not the right fit. Wow. Doesn't that make you already feel so much better? The word rejection is such a heavy weight on our shoulders. To be able to let that go is so, so, so lovely. So ultimately, we want to be able to create these more empowering meanings. So perhaps something that could be helpful to you would be to set a reminder on a phone and to think about, what empowering meaning can I give this? Because ultimately, when you can start to give empowering meanings to perhaps these rejections that you may be receiving, or these no's, or where someone isn't reacting in the way that you want to, if we can switch it and give it a meaning that's going to serve you, you're going to be able to start moving yourself forward in a much more sustainable and enjoyable way. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Definitely comment if you have any questions, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon.